What is up, YouTube? What is up, Facebook? What is up, podcast? Wherever you're listening to me, welcome to my show. Welcome to Vice Multimedia. Today we're talking Bitcoin. Now, this is a different kind of show from the rest of the shows regarding Bitcoin because I'm not a big Bitcoin guy, and I'm going to explain why the frenzy on Bitcoin is going on. For those of you that maybe don't know what Bitcoin is or don't know what's going on with Bitcoin, I'm gonna put it in layman terms. I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna basically tell you you're a dumbass and you don't understand Bitcoin. So if you're one of those kind of people that don't understand it, don't know about it, maybe somebody told you a little bit, this is the program for you because I'm going to try to explain it. So I put $600 in Bitcoin to test it out. Say what? Basically, what I did was, I guess the disclaimer is that I put $300 first at $7,300, and then at nine something. And I'll explain that. I'll explain that a little more as we go into the podcast. But I want to explain what Bitcoin is for those of you that don't know. So, in layman terms, Bitcoin is not a coin at all. Bitcoin is a number. Basically, when you buy Bitcoin, you buy a number. Where does that number come from? From some freaking geeks in other countries and in the United States that have warehouses full of computers trying to solve math problems. Say what? Yes, so when they solve a math problem, it becomes a Bitcoin. So that long as number that is the math problem gives you one Bitcoin when you solve it. Again, it goes into a lot more detail than that, but basically in a nutshell, for us dumbasses, that's what Bitcoin is. It's not really a coin, it's a number. When you buy it, they give you a number. Don't share the number with it because it's like bearer bonds. For those of you that don't know what bearer bonds are, they are like basically a piece of paper that says you own this many stocks, and whoever has this piece of paper is the owner of the stock. There's no name, there's no nothing. If you have those stocks, it's yours. Same with Bitcoin. If you have that number, somebody stole your Bitcoin, it belongs to them. And that's the way it is. So I'm going to explain a little more on how Bitcoin works and why Bitcoin exists. So maybe this will shed some light on everyone that's still kind of confused. So in a nutshell, Bitcoin is for those fanatics and crazy fuckers that think that the world is basically going to end.
I got a bad feeling about this.
They think that the U.S. economy is going to collapse. They think that the government is spending and printing too much money. They think that when Richard Nixon moved away from the gold standard, meaning the dollar was no longer worth gold. When they went away from that and they can print as much money as they want, they're going to have money that's worthless. Kind of like Venezuela. You hear the stories of Venezuela where they have the wheelbarrows full of cash trying to buy a gallon of milk or whatever, some stupid thing. So these people think that that's what's going to happen in the United States. Now, if that happens in the United States, it's going to happen all over the world because basically right now the United States leads the world in economy and pretty much everything. We're a world power here in the United States. So if the U.S. economy tanks, if the dollar tanks, pretty much the whole world's going to tank, and the whole world has spent time and money and effort trying to combat the dollar. Case in point, the euros. You remember a time when Mexico changed its currency. They still kept it a peso, but they changed how much it was worth against the dollar. They were kind of hoping they would be valued more. But it's all about the economy, man. It's all about how strong your economy is. You can change it as many times as you want, but it's all about the economy. Case in point, in India, they changed they changed the money, the type of money in India. And again, I'm keeping it simple, and everybody ran to the bank. The bank had my money, and basically millions of people were screwed out of their money because the government decided to change the currency.
What the fuck?
So the people that think that the U.S. government is going to print too much money and it's going to make the dollar worthless, and not only that, coronavirus is kind of making that worse. Those people are diving into Bitcoin. Now, these are the people. It didn't take coronavirus to make these people think that way. These are the people that have thought like this for a long time, and they're basically expecting a revolution, kind of like some people are expecting a revolution in the United States. These people are expecting a money revolution where the dollar is basically going to be worthless. And where are you going to turn to? Originally, they thought they were going to turn to gold, but even gold is regulated by the government, and you can't carry gold. What if you have $1 million in gold? How are you going to transport it? You can't carry it on your back. Whereas with Bitcoin, all you get, if you have $1 million in Bitcoin, you have a number, basically a number that says this is worth $1 million. Okay, so everybody got that? You got it? Still don't?
It's clear.
Let me go into it a little further. Okay. So basically, these doomsday sayers that say that the market is going to crash dived into Bitcoin. But if you think about it, Bitcoin is really an ingenious cryptocurrency. For those of you, it's a fancy word of saying not real money.
Say what?
It's cryptocurrency is basically like the internet. You can't see it, you can't hold it, but you know it's there. So people that so Bitcoin, I lost my train of thought. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency that really has zero value. It has no value at all. It's just some dude in his garage trying to. Well, I'm simplifying it because it started as some dude in his garage using a computer trying to solve a math problem to get Bitcoin, which those dudes are filthy millionaires now because Bitcoin just kind of blew up. So those guys are called miners. If you sit in your garage with a computer trying to solve a math problem, an algorithm that they call it, you're called a miner. And basically, the way you mine for gold, you take a pick, an axe, and everything. It's hard to find gold, just like it's hard to find Bitcoin now. So, and Bitcoin, there's a limited supply. Where gold, there may be a limited supply, but I don't know, when that is. Maybe there's no more gold in the world. You can't dig for it anymore. You run out, so the gold is going to be worth a lot. But with Bitcoin, it's definitely an end to it. There's 21 million Bitcoins that can be mined only. And after that, you're screwed. There could be no more Bitcoin. So let me. I know you're kind of getting confused, so I'm going to explain it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to follow me here, because us dumbasses need to be kind of led by the arm a little bit with this, and I don't blame you. So Bitcoin was invented by some. Well, they don't even know who invented it, but they gave the name Takashi, whatever the hell his name is. He invented Bitcoin, and it's really an ingenious Sakatoshi. What the hell is his name? See, now I had his name and I forgot. Okay, so this guy invented Bitcoin by sitting down and creating a math problem, an algorithm but he said, you know what? I'm going to battle all the currencies in the world. I'm going to rival pretty much everyone with this Bitcoin. I'm going to create this money that doesn't exist, but it's going to be valuable because people want it.
Say
And that's the only reason it exists. If nobody wanted Bitcoin, it would be worthless. And I guess the dollar is the same way. Is backed by the government, but if nobody used the dollar, if you said, "Man, this is just a piece of paper. What the hell is this?" Then the dollar would be worthless. If you think about it, really think about it, the dollar would be worthless if people didn't put any value in the dollar now, especially with so much money being printed now. That the only reason why it's worth anything is because we're just giving it to each other, spending it, buying clothes, spending at the mall, getting our latte, getting our Prada shoes, getting our internet and our cell phones and watching Kim Kardashian fight with her sister or whoever the hell she's fighting with. So that's the only reason why it's valuable, because we put a value on it. Otherwise, let's say we thought that I don't know. Let's say we thought that rocks were valuable. The reason why rocks would not be valuable because there's too many of them. But if we kind of paid with rocks, the rocks would be valuable, more valuable than the dollar at least. So, but the case in point is, rocks are everywhere, so they're not going to be valuable. Bitcoin is not. Bitcoin, there's a limit to how many Bitcoins you can earn, and there's a limit to how far in the future Bitcoin is going to exist. And they're saying that 2040, 2041 is going to be when the last Bitcoin is mined, or is the problem is solved by these miners. So when that happens, it's anyone's guess. Well, the Bitcoin people are saying that this Bitcoin is going to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, because it's so scarce.
What the fuck?
In 20 years, it could be worth, 10 million, 100 million, who knows. Or it could be completely worthless. Completely worthless because maybe people got tired of it, they don't want it anymore, and they don't like it. For whatever reason, Bitcoin could be worthless. Now, these doomsday people that I call them, they're not really doomsday people, but these are the people that think that money is going to crash. These people are heavy into Bitcoin. I mean, these guys I was watching an interview one time with this guy who used to be in the United States, left the United States all because of this, because the government had money to spend in other countries, and in that way they're controlling other countries by doing sanctions, by taking money away, giving money. And Bitcoin, if adopted, would remove all of that. In other words, Bitcoin is not regulated, so the government has nothing to do with Bitcoin. They cannot regulate it because, and I'll explain that in a minute. It can't be regulated because it's anonymous. It's just a number that's floating out in space, and they cannot regulate Bitcoin. So, how do you know that you're not getting scammed when you get your number from Bitcoin?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Basically, what happens is these people that sit in their garage, or they're miners. By the way, they're not people in the garage anymore. These are fuckers that have crap load of computers in warehouses up in Finland and Sweden and wherever the hell else, because they need a cold place to cool their computers because they put out so much power that it's freaking hot in their warehouses. These people are called miners. And so what they do is whenever I buy something with Bitcoin, say I get a number and I want to buy a car. So that transaction, me buying the car, that number that I gave, that transaction that just happened, has to be verified. Yeah, verified. Where the dollar doesn't really need to be verified because the dollar is already a dollar. You don't need anybody recording my transaction with the local liquor store when I get my 40.
What the fuck?
That doesn't happen other than a sale. You get a sale, I know that the fanatics are going to say, they do control it, it's a transaction, and the credit card companies, and they keep your transaction. This is true. But like if I wanted to buy a 40, I could, and I paid $2, nobody cares, it's, but if you use Bitcoin and the transactions are not, they're not followed by the government, one, and they have to be verified by the people that mine them, by the people sitting in their warehouses with a bunch of computers. They say, okay, Vice Multimedia bought a car with this number. This number is good, so it's a good Bitcoin. And they all have to agree. Like all these people around the world have to agree that this transaction happened, and that's how they validate a Bitcoin. That's how they know it's worth something. That's how they know how that the transaction happened and that it's valuable. So, and this makes it hard to hack. They say that Bitcoin is almost impossible to hack because those transactions are verified by pretty much all these people around the world, and it's pretty much impossible to hack. I think they said that China tried to hack into the blockchain. By the way, that's called the blockchain, where all these people are like saying, "Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Let's verify that. Yeah, verify. Yeah, he did buy a car with that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree. I agree." So everybody has to agree that that happened, and it's called the blockchain. Everybody agreed. So China apparently tried to hack into that blockchain
I got a bad feeling about this.
and was apparently not successful, depending on who you talk to. But the general consensus from the sane people are that China was not successful in hacking into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin now is one of the biggest cryptocurrencies in the world, and it's because if you take a dollar and you go to let's say Japan or South America or Mexico or Europe, you have to change that dollar into their currency. With Bitcoin, you don't have to change that. You don't have to change it to anything. Your Bitcoin is worth the same in the United States as it is in India.
Say what?
So the pros and cons of Bitcoin. The pros of Bitcoin is that it's the developing countries are going to benefit from it because poor people have access to it. Their money is worth the same as yours as it is mine, and they don't have to. The exchange doesn't hurt them. Say like in India, if you bought a ruby, and you give $1,000 for a ruby or whatever the hell it is, I don't know. So and with Bitcoin, it would be equal around the world to the developing countries, and it's not regulated by the government. The government has no business in being. They have no control of Bitcoin. You can buy whatever you want anonymously, and nobody's going to want anything. The government is not going to know about it. That's the theory. Well, actually, it's not a theory. It's actually true. So the bad thing is that people can buy stuff with Bitcoin that nobody knows about.
What the fuck?
The doomsday sayers that I call them in loving jest, they said that their argument is there's more good than bad coming from Bitcoin. And by the way, the banks in the United States, all over the world, basically, especially in Russia, the banks are trying to make their own cryptocurrency. For a long time, they try to stop it, right? So all these arguments that I gave you, they're trying to stop the cryptocurrency, but the genie was out of the bag, man. They cannot stop this thing. So what do? If you can't beat them, join them. They created their own cryptocurrency.
I got a bad feeling about this.
The banks did, but the problem is that it would be regulated. In other words, the banks would own it. You would probably still need to do transaction fees and all the crap that the banks charge you, for your using your credit cards, credit card fee, all that stuff that makes them millions. So the banks are definitely they're definitely concerned about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that we won't talk about today. But the two main ones are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the two big ones. So before I go on, let me tell you how Bitcoin actually, the story. I don't know if it's true or not, but this is a story of the early beginnings of Bitcoin. So, in one of the most expensive laptops in the world. So apparently this guy, back when Bitcoin was unknown and worth nothing because people put no worth on it, and it was easier to mine, easier to solve the math problem because the problem was shorter. The math problem was shorter. You ever go to school and they give you this long ass math problem? Well, imagine that, going around the world, math problem that it is today, trying to solve it. Well, before, back in 2000 and I want to say 9, whenever, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I want to say around there, maybe even sooner. I think it was 2008. I want to say 9 or 10. I don't remember. But anyways, it was easier. You can go on your laptop and mine for Bitcoins. You can get Bitcoins and they were worth less than, 30 cents in Bitcoin. So this guy was very into Bitcoin. They say that he mined about 250 bitcoins, could have been up to 500 bitcoins on his laptop at the time, which would be today would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars if that was the case. So apparently, he was mining the Bitcoin, was using up a lot of electricity. The girlfriend or the wife said, hey man, go get a job. You are wasting the energy. You're wasting the electricity.
Don't worry, lady. I'll have you cleaned off in a minute.
You need to get a job. We need to support this damn family. So he did. He stopped mining Bitcoin. Well, through it all, he lost the laptop. And remember, I told you that Bitcoin is whoever holds the number holds the money. Well, that is the probably the most expensive laptop in the world if anybody can find it, and nobody knows where it is. Nobody knows if it even exists or if it's a true story, but that is the common consensus. I know there's people are going to correct me as to the details of that, but in a offhand way, in a kind of that you get the gist. You get the gist of it. So that laptop today could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars if anybody can find it. But up to now, nobody can find the laptop. Probably gone forever. Who knows? But anyways, oh, and by the way, those bitcoins are lost. So anyways, back to this Bitcoin thing. So people think that because the government is going to crash, Bitcoin is going to save us. So if the dollar crashes, imagine this. Let's say you had $1 million in the bank, or let's say you had $10,000 in the bank, and the U.S. dollar one day decided to go kapooey. Okay, the government printed too much money. They went bankrupt. They can't pay anything. The banks, because remember, the banks don't have their own money. They have your money. So let's say the banks go bankrupt, and there's no bailout, none of that stuff, and the dollar goes kapooey. It goes into the toilet. Well, Bitcoin is a logical, in theory, Bitcoin is a logical exit from the dollar. So Bitcoin can literally save the country, possibly the world, if that happens. Now, you're going to have a lot of rich people, and all you're doing is swapping out rich people for rich people.
What the fuck?
Just a different mentality. But you're still going to have the rich people that already have all the Bitcoins, and you're going to have the people that don't have Bitcoin. They're kind of left out in the cold. So they might turn to Ethereum and these other cryptocurrencies, but the problem is going to be the trust. If you don't already trust the cryptocurrency, it's going to be worthless. Like I said before, if you don't trust the dollar, it's going to be worthless. So this is what they are saying. This is why Bitcoin is so appealing to a lot of people, because those doomsayers saying that it's coming and it's coming. And I'm thinking that a lot of you listening think, yeah, man, that's very plausible. That's very possible that it can happen. I think it is very possible that it can happen. Will it? I don't know. And let me tell you why. So let's say that the dollar crashes, right? And we have Bitcoin. So, by the way, Bitcoin is going to be so super expensive that nobody's going to be able to afford it other than a fraction. So you can buy you don't have to buy one Bitcoin, because as I was looking today, it was like 8,800 and something today. So if you have $8,000 to buy one Bitcoin, then good for you. But most people don't. So Bitcoin is going to be super expensive. You can buy a fraction of Bitcoin, like you can buy like $10 of worth of Bitcoin in a fraction. They'll give you a number, but it's still $10. You're hoping that it's going to go up, and it's just you're too late. You're too late into the game.
Say what?
So let's say the dollar crashes, and the dollar is worth nothing because the people, the government is broke. The people don't have faith in it. But maybe let's say Bitcoin is working. So let's get Bitcoin out of this for a minute. So the dollar crashes. Nobody trusts the dollar. The euro crashed. The pesos, the rupees, everything crashed because the dollar crashed. So how do you survive that? Well, remember that the government can do whatever the hell they wanted to do. In the 1920s, when when the war was going on, the government recalled gold from its citizens here in the United States. So if you owned gold, by law, you had to return the gold to the government. So they can do stupid shit like that, right? They can demand or interject or pass into law some stupid stuff. So I think that they can do the same with the dollar. So they can say, the dollar is now worth this. Of course, it's not going to mean anything if the people are not, not buying it. But let's say that the people get together and say, you know what, screw the government, but we still need our monetary system. So we're going to put trust in the dollar, even though it's worthless. Even though the dollar is worthless, let's say the Venezuelan people said, you know what, our money is worthless right now. It's not backed by anything. We're freaking broke. It is worthless. But Joe Schmo at the corner is still taking $2 for a gallon of milk. And Joe Schmo over there is taking $1 for a popsicle. Whatever. So that's kind of putting trust in the dollar. So humanity, if the people of America or all over the world put trust in their currency, they may survive whatever fall the government has by putting trust in the dollar, just like they're doing with Bitcoin. The only reason Bitcoin is worth anything is because people are putting trust in Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin is nothing. It's just a number. It's a algorithm. It's a math problem,
Harry, what? It's an inanimate fucking object. You're an inanimate fucking object!
right? So you can't hold it, you can't see it. It's nothing. But people have trust in it. So if they do that with the dollar can actually, or any currency can actually do the same thing that Bitcoin is doing, and that is hold its value. And the government can come in, or the government can come in and say, you know, uh, the dollar is now worth this, or you're not allowed to own this, or the banks are going to be able to do this, that, the other. It's it's hard to explain, but I'm afraid that the government will do something to control the dollar. And it'd be a lot more difficult to control Bitcoin because like I said, it's a math problem. It's unregulated. It's pretty hard to hack, pretty hard to get into. But there's something up the government's sleeve, I think, that they can say, okay, this is what we can do for the dollar. But the main thing it would be up to the people to trust the dollar, to use it like Bitcoin and continue, even though their government totally screwed up, right? So that's just my theory. That's my conspiracy theory. I'm sure that the doomsayers will tell you different or maybe something else. I don't know. But they were really putting the trust in Bitcoin. So what did I do? I went out and I bought some Bitcoin. I'll be honest with you. I'm very intrigued with Bitcoin because it sounds plausible. What they're saying can be true. I mean, the government is printing a lot of money. The government did move away from the gold standard. There's nothing backing the dollar now, so who's to say that the dollar is going to continue to be worth anything? So I see their point. I do with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin can go either way. People can, if people start distrusting Bitcoin, all that money is going to be, it's going to be worthless, really. Bitcoin will be worthless. It's all about trust. If Bitcoin if people decide that they don't trust Bitcoin, completely worthless. It's not even worth what you pay for the internet. Which, by the way, Bitcoin is only exists because of the internet. So the blockchain that I told you about, where people are like verifying all the transaction, yeah, he did that. Yeah, he did that. Well, it only exists because of the internet.
I got a bad feeling about this.
So how do you destroy Bitcoin? You probably destroy Bitcoin by knocking out a satellite and freaking, destroying the internet. And then, because remember, one thing that I didn't say is the blockchain, those transactions have to be updated like constantly, like literally every second.
Say what?
And if there's no internet, there's no way to continue that. I may be wrong on that, but if some government or if there was a war or something and they destroyed our satellites and there was no internet, then we'd probably be screwed either way. So, and that's everything, not just Bitcoin, right? That would be everything. But I know that Russia is big on Bitcoin right now, and they're big on Ethereum because they're trying to. I think they hosted the guy that invented Ethereum, and they want him to kind of. I don't know if it's invest is the right word, but maybe come up with something for Russia that way. And why? Because they can buy missiles, they can buy guns, they can buy whatever they want anonymously, and they don't have to worry about the American sanctions or the world sanctions because they can go out and basically buy whatever they want anonymously. They can use Bitcoin and go out there and buy, freaking nuclear weapons if they wanted to. It's that kind of it's that big. So that's why Russia is like really big on trying to get something like that. Man, I hope I'm not getting in trouble here with all the governments by saying all this stuff. I'm just a Joe Schmo trying to make a video. So, anyways, I bought $600 worth of Bitcoin, and the like I said, I will say that when I first bought Bitcoin. By the way, check out I'm on my Facebook page. Check out my Facebook page if when you get a chance. It's Vice Multimedia. Go in with that. Okay, so right now, Bitcoin is $8,853.56 in the United States. So that's how much one Bitcoin is worth. But bought. Um, I bought $600, and I bought one at here. I'm going to show you. I bought one at around $7,300. The first one. By the way, my strategy is to hold it. I'm not. A lot of people are trading it and going back and forth and all that other stuff. So I bought around here. I bought around $7,300 because they're saying, man, Bitcoin's is going to come up. The coronavirus is going to go back up, and this and that the other, and which I think is true. Oh, and plus, Bitcoin has something. The guy that invented Bitcoin has something that happens every 4 years, and it's called the halving. So what it does is the halving splits the bitcoins for the miners, and it makes it does a few things. One, my biggest thing is I know that each miner is going to be. I think it's going to be like 12. They get 12 bitcoins per. When they mine, something like that. But my concern, that what you need to know, is that when the halving happens, basically it splits the Bitcoin. Basically, they're saying that when the Bitcoin splits, historically, every time it split, it skyrocketed. It went from, I think it was like from 300 or whatever it was, it went to 1,000 something. Then went from 1,000 to 10,000. It went from 10,000 to 20,000, if I'm correct. I hope I said that correctly. But in a nutshell, that's kind of more or less what happened. So they're expecting this Bitcoin now to go up to as high as $250,000 for Bitcoin. Now, whether that's true or not, the doomsayers are saying that it's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible because nobody thought that Bitcoin would go up to 20,000, even 10,000. So, yeah, it's very possible. I think so. So, and that's my strategy, and this is why I bought it. Well, I bought it to kind of to kind of make this video and to kind of educate people on Bitcoin. But I also bought it as a strategy. I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to just kind of sit on it and basically just pass it on to my kid, and see where she is in 10, 15 years, whatever it is, and see how that goes. So, but I can tell you that I went in here at 7,300, and then it was going up and going up and going up, and I thought, man, I'm gonna wait till it comes back down here, right? And I'm like, if it comes back down here, man, I'm golden, But no, it kept going up, and the halving is happening, and you gotta get in, and the halving is happening, and you gotta get in, and more people are buying, and the whales are buying. That's the whales, the big people. They're all buying it up, and it's going, and it's going, and it kept climbing, and it kept climbing, and I'm like, I need to buy. I'm buying right now.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! Jesus Christ, I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get over there!
So I bought like a 9 something, almost 10. 98, I think I bought. And what happened? Wah, wah, wah. It kind of stayed around there. So, so here I am trying to hurry up and buy everything. Maybe it's not going back down. It's moving, it's climbing, it's climbing. I'm going to buy, I buy, and I bought. And basically, I've made about $60.
What the fuck?
$62 from the 300 here and the 300 here. So, and again, in fairness, if I would have bought the 600 here and gone up, it would have been more money than that. But because I bought high and low, it's a mixture. So it goes up and down, but I've gone up to as high as like $300, which is really good for an investment. But again, I'm not touching it. I'm not taking it out. I'm just going to leave it in there, and what happens happens. It was money. Of course, I don't think it's money I can afford to lose, but it's money that I'm not paying the rent with. So, so there you go. So I bought it there. I'm up at $60 something, and that's what it gave me. But if you look at the information on Bitcoin, Bitcoin transactions fees soar after Bitcoin halving. So this is the halving that I was talking to you about. So Bitcoin is supposed to split, and it's supposed to just go up and up and up. Right now they're just talking about the fees, which I don't understand, man. If Bitcoin is supposed to be unregulated, well, I guess I do understand. If it's supposed to be unregulated, why are they charging fees to buy and sell Bitcoin? And I guess the fees go to the miners because they are spending money, and they're using all this stuff, and time and money and effort and all that stuff. So okay, I get it. But it just rubbed me the wrong way, since Bitcoin is supposed to be unregulated. Okay, fine. So, this headline here it goes back to where I was saying buy, everybody's buy. It's soaring. You gotta buy, and I bought, and it kind of stayed where it was.
Don't call me stupid. Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people!
What a bummer. What a bummer. So, Bitcoin, in a nutshell, that's what it is. I think, again, I'm going to leave it where it is, see what happens in a few years, and hopefully, if it does go up to the 250,000 mark, like people say it is, see right here, that's Bitcoin at 8,858.29. Ethereum is at 201. So if you believe in Ethereum, now is the time to buy at $200, because if it ever gets to Bitcoin, this kind of money, you guys are going to be some rich bastards if it goes to that. Now, Ethereum. Sorry. Ethereum is a big. It's a little bit different in that it's software based kind of stuff. I won't go into it too much, but Ethereum is it's a little bit different. And one thing, an honorable mention, XRP. XRP is a cryptocurrency called Ripple. I mean, it goes with Ripple. And so if you hear those two together, the interesting part about that is that Ripple, XRP, it's being sold to the banks. So the banks, they're saying, hey banks, you guys are going to crash. The money's going to be worthless. You're going to lose all that money. Adopt XRP for your money, and we'll let the United States and possibly the world use XRP money, Ripple. Again, I won't go into it too much other than XRP, the banks are they're trying to sell that to the banks. Now, the banks are making their own currency. I don't know why they would buy XRP, but there's a good argument for it, and there's not such a good argument for it. It just depends on what's going to happen. Me personally, I don't know why the banks would go with XRP if they have their own. They're going to make their own, but they seem to think that they will. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, I'm sitting at around $62 right now with $600 that I put into Bitcoin, which actually, you know what, for a month is not too shabby. Because I'm hoping that Bitcoin is what people say it is, and that it's going up to 200,000, 250,000, and possibly even more. People are saying that Bitcoin can go, especially if the US dollar crashes, that Bitcoin can go up into the millions. But who knows? Who knows? If all the doomsayers are hoping for that, I guess, because they're going to be sitting pretty. The rest of us may not be so. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Please leave any comments, suggestions down in the comments below. I know I got some of this stuff wrong, but I was just trying to keep it simple. I was trying to keep it simple for those of you that are trying to find out a little something about Bitcoin. Catch my podcast, Vice Multimedia Podcast. And thank you for watching. I will see you guys later.